Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are back in the Udachi? Oh god, not again. What are we doing? Spartan, back-to-back destroyer videos? What is wrong with you? Calm down. Before you click off the video, let me explain. Alright? Please? By the way, if you guys enjoy my content and you guys stop by every single day, punch that like button for me. Helps the channel out a bunch. And if you're new to the channel and you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead, click the subscribe button for daily World of Warships content, as well as a whole bunch of other stuff off the script along the side. Now, while we've got that out of the way, I gotta explain, okay? So I was doing the Mitsuki video yesterday, right? And I screwed up. And I went into a match and I ran straight into Pensacola, Omaha, and a Cyclone. And I died real quick. So I had to wait for the Mitsuki to come back. And so I jumped into Udachi because, you know, I had to get my Japanese destroyer blood flowing. And it worked too, because you guys saw the Mitsuki video yesterday. It was entertaining, it was hilarious. This is going to be just like that, except way sweatier and with the most ridiculous throw you have ever seen. So stay tuned. It's gonna be a good one. Anyway, I know I'm a battleship main, guys. I get it. And I know that watching destroyers play, generally speaking, is about as entertaining as watching paint dry. I get it. The only thing worse than watching destroyer gameplay is watching a light cruiser sit behind an island or a carrier back up to the edge of the map. I totally understand. But if you guys will bear with me, you guys know that I'm not your average destroyer player, alright? I'm a little crazy. And by a little crazy, I mean I play to win. Period. End of story. Sometimes that makes for entertaining videos, and sometimes that makes for really boring videos. This one is going to be a bit of both. There's going to be plenty of dead space in this video that I'm going to have to make up for with my entertaining commentary, so it's a lesson in, you know, narration for me. But it's also a perfect example of why people need to pay more attention when they're playing this game. Because nobody pays attention to the little things. This is what separates a good player, you know, from a average or below average player. Is paying attention to the little things. What do I mean by this? I talk about these things all the time. Paying attention to the clock. Paying attention to the points. Paying attention to who's near what caps and what you can do to affect the outcome of the game. These are the things that you have to pay attention to, right? But people don't. People don't even know those things exist. I can guarantee that at least 60% of you out there, maybe not you guys that are watching the videos because y'all are a little bit enlightened, right? Y'all pay attention. You guys have been harped on. You guys understand what I'm talking about when I say pay attention to little things. Paying attention to the minimap. Paying attention to the score. Paying attention to all the things. Knowing who's around you and what they're capable of. This is why I stress to everybody. Play everything. Don't limit yourself to battleships. Don't limit yourself to cruisers. Don't limit yourself to for God's sake, stop playing carriers. But don't limit yourself to destroyers. Play everything because it gives you such an advantage when it comes down to one-on-one engagements because you know exactly what you're up against. You guys don't understand. You can use that information that you've learned by playing the ship against the people that are playing against you. It's a crazy concept. I've always said it. Knowledge is power, folks. And there is nothing more powerful in this game than experience. Period. So, now that we've got that out of the way, one of the things that I want to talk about is that the Udachi. Everybody knows the Udachi is a prolific, sneaky destroyer that has torpedoes and reload boosters and all of the things. What people don't mention about the Udachi and about most IJN destroyers is that it has fantastic guns. And it's a very agile little destroyer. It can be hard to hit, and it packs a wallop. Sure, the guns don't always reload fast enough, but by God, when you hit, they hit. I mean, you got 6 guns on this thing, right? So they hit hard. Don't play around, man. It'll mess you up. I lied. It's only a single turret in the middle. So you've got 5 guns. I don't know why they added a single turret in there. But notice how I'm screening for my battleship. I know there's a Lo Yang nearby. I know the Lo Yang is a potential problem. I also know that there's another destroyer here. So what I'm doing is trying to force these destroyers off their game, right? Because I'm using twist and track, and because I'm trying to keep myself in a position to help. You can see they're firing at me, and I'm not even worried about it. Like, by the time they try to fire at me, it's too late. They're going behind the island. They can't really get shots at me. But I'm trying to protect my battleship. In vain at the end of the day, but I'm trying. Now, this game is like a death sentence for a Udachi, right? Like, this is worst case scenario. You've got 4 destroyers against you, and a whole host of cruisers, and only 2 battleships to potentially farm. So how am I ever going to manage to get anything out of this match? And the answer might surprise you. Now, I get sonar'd right here, which could have been the worst possible timing, but do I freak out about it? No. I simply start to get some distance between me and the Lo Yang because I know that his sonar is almost out of range. So once we get out of range, we are fine and dandy. And we're about to be in position to potentially drop torpedoes on the battleship. Of course, we're not reloaded yet because we were trying to torp the Lo Yang before we even knew he was there, or before we could see him, I should say. And so we're going to go ahead and use our reload booster for our torpedoes. We're going to try to predict what this Roma is doing. He's pushing very, very hard into our area. And if you look at the map, our team has pushed real hard around the left flank. They have a destroyer over there. He's in a rough position right now. He's up against a cruiser at close range. That's never a good situation for a destroyer. And then, of course, we have 2 cruisers over there, one of which is out behind an island, and the other one is way out on the flank. We do manage to land a couple of torpedoes on the Roma, which is huge, but he is now smoked up and he is coming directly towards me. So I have no choice but to back off. I also know the Lo Yang is in the neighborhood, so this is going to limit what I can do. And this is where I start saying, guys, I need support. Those guys on that left flank, they need to do one of 2 things. Dispose of that cruiser and get into the cap as soon as possible. And of course, our destroyer dies. Shocker. But they do manage to take out the enemy cruiser, which opens the door for our cruisers to get into that cap, right? If that's what their plan is, they need to do it now, because I cannot hold against this many enemies, especially with a Lo Yang right here, right? He is the perfect counter to me. You can see I do start to think about trying to hit him, and then I go ahead and throw a widespread, which I don't do very often, but I had a suspicion that this Roma would change course and try to get out of the way rather than staying in the cap here. So I just wanted to put some torpedoes out there in unpredictable spots to make sure that if he does, I have a chance to hit him, right? Because it's much harder to hit somebody when you're only sending 4 torpedoes downrange than it is if I would have sent all 8 at that Roma. I would have been able to cover the area much more densely, but as you can see, he does manage to get in front of our torpedoes, but the widespread bites me in the butt. And again, this is why I don't use them very often. However, Jaeger is in a perfect position to counter him with cross torps. Cross torps are fantastic, and even the Jaeger, as crappy as those torpedoes actually are, manages to land some torpedoes, which causes the permaflood, and that should be the end of the Roma. Now, the Lo Yang starts shooting at our Jaeger, and so I'm trying to shoot the Lo Yang to get his attention looking in multiple directions. Unfortunately, I don't manage to save our Jaeger. And if you look at the position of our cruiser is broadside to everybody on the border. He can't really dodge. We just lost our Akatsuki as well, so I am the last destroyer alive for our team. I am spotted currently because of shooting at the Lo Yang, but if you look at the teams, we currently have a points lead. Thankfully, our team has managed to keep a couple of their higher value targets alive. But unfortunately, that's not going to remain, as the Riga is getting into a fight. Now pay attention to what's going on here. We know the Lo Yang's over here, right? I've got to assume that Lo Yang is coming for me. That would make sense, right? He perfectly counters me. So in theory, that Lo Yang should have nothing better to do than to come murder me. But This is World of Warships Legends, and potatoes exist everywhere, and that Lo Yang is the perfect example of somebody who is chasing damage rather than doing what they need to do to win. He goes after the cruiser in the corner of the map, and this will ultimately lead to his team throwing this game. You won't believe this throw. Look at the points difference now. Okay, we just lost our cruiser. There are only 3 of us left. We have a cruiser in their cap. Pay attention to that as well. And we have 2 cruisers and 2 destroyers against us. Well, we know at least 1 cruiser and 1 destroyer. Actually, we know both their cruisers and their destroyers are in our AO, essentially, right? We have the Lo Yang over here, which is the worst thing that I could face right now. We have a radar cruiser in the Riga that we know was in the middle, and that's the one closest to their cap. And then we have their other cruiser, which turns out to be one of the Japanese torpedo cruisers, coming back from the edge. All right. So here you can see I am doing what I call zone torping, right? This is just simple. I have, a direction that the enemy is in. I'm using my RPF, and I'm just area denial. I'm just trying to throw these guys off. If they're coming directly at me and I throw some torps out there, they got to think about that, right? Now, obviously, I launched those directly at the thing. You should try to lead the target in the direction that you think they're going. So in this case, I know he's coming back towards the mid, so I should have launched further to the left. But still, gives them something to think about. They're probably close enough to spot those, and there you go. Lo Yang is right here. Now, again, Lo Yang, I gotta play to the fact that Lo Yang can absolutely murder my face. But this is where the concealment comes in handy, and people always harp on, oh, Spartan, just double concealment, and no. Concealment makes a huge difference in this game. It just does, especially in a destroyer that can be countered as hard as this Udachi is. So right now, I am spotting because I noticed that my cruiser pal was coming back. So if I can keep this guy lit up, there's a good chance that we can take out this Lo Yang, despite him being the perfect counter for me. But notice I'm also trying to put some distance between us because I know that Lo Yang has that extended range sonar. And I don't want to get caught by it again, right? But what we've done, by keeping him spotted, getting him shot at by our cruiser, and then throwing some torpedoes in his direction, has kept him out of the cap. Why is this important? Because he's not denying us points. Right, guys? Points! This game has another layer, which is points. Pay attention to them. Now, right now, I know that I'm in trouble, right? We have less than 3 minutes to go. We are down by 130 points. I'm going to have to pull out a god-darn miracle if I'm going to make this happen. Well, thank God I sacrificed my baby carrots to RNGesus. And by RNGesus, I mean I got the perfect enemy team who are just so willing to throw their ships away, one at a time. And so Shimanto comes out. Why would he be spotted, guys? Why would you get spotted? Newsflash, if you're spotted and you don't see anybody else, there's a destroyer around 99% of the time, right? So, when there's a destroyer around, and you know that, maybe don't put yourself in a position where you can just sail in a straight line and get torpedoed. Now, the Riga comes out, and we know that he's a radar, and we know he's low health, and we managed to get multiple torp hits on the Shimanto and dev strike him, which is huge. It gives us hope. And now this Riga has probably started thinking, oh my god, am I going to get gunned down by a freaking Udachi? This is embarrassing. You're not wrong, Sunshine, it is embarrassing. But this is the kind of thing that you got to think about. He doesn't have the DPM to kill me from full health. And all I got to do is dodge. Meanwhile, all I got to do is land a few more shells on this man's superstructure and he goes down. And there's the fire. He's going to put that out. Unfortunately, he does make the right decision and go behind the island. But just as he does that, the unthinkable, the one person that should never be detected, gets himself detected. And better yet, it's the guy that killed our destroyer, or killed our cruiser in the cap, and manages to put himself in a position to be spotted with no hit points. And he has the points lead. Now, our cruiser goes into the cap, denies the Lo Yang our cap, The Asashio comes out, I finish him off, that gives us the points lead, but it's a very narrow margin. If that Lo Yang gets back into the cap anytime in the near future, he could swing this battle just like that, as long as he doesn't die. So, I need to try to kill the Riga. Fortunately, our cruiser actually spots the Riga. Now, our cruiser is full broadside to this Riga, which is terrifying to me. As you can see, Riga's already taking shots at him, because I know that's a Mogami, and I know how easy it is to kill, but with time running out, we have just a little bit of a lead. We're going to go ahead and throw the torpedoes out there, and then get ready, because he's behind the island. We take the shot. We get spotted because the Lo Yang's chasing me, but it does not matter. We managed to take out the Riga, gunning him down with a Japanese destroyer and giving our team the win. The most ridiculous game of throws you have ever seen in your life. Only 94,000 damage. But those clutch moments at the end of the game where the enemy puts themselves in stupid positions despite having all of the advantages is what cost them that match, and they have no one to blame but themselves. But this just goes to show the power that is the destroyer. Doesn't matter what your destroyer is, you have the power to completely swing a match. And even IJN destroyers that aren't meant to be gunboats should not be afraid to use their guns in situations that make sense. Not saying you go in there and you get yourself killed 30 seconds into the match because you're firing your guns at a full health battleship. But what I'm saying is that in certain situations, you gotta start using those guns, folks. You can absolutely catch everybody around you off guard because most people think, oh, it's just a Udachi. Oh, I won't have to worry. I just gotta dodge torpedoes. Yeah, well, what happens when you're low health? Guess what? I still got guns, sunshine, and you going down. So I hope this has been a fun, entertaining, I know it's a different kind of video, but it's something that needs to be shown. So I wanted to show it to you guys so that you guys can learn from it and so that you guys don't make the same mistakes that everybody on that enemy team made. Firstly, that Lo Yang needed to counter me. His job was to counter me. He had every opportunity to do it, and he refused to do his job. So it goes right back to what we say. Gunboat destroyers, you guys gotta learn to be gunboat destroyers. Stop chasing damage, trying to burn battleships and cruisers down when you need to hunt enemy destroyers. He kills me, we lose. Period. End of story. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, and if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.